This is the final look. Now, the point of this video is honestly a mixture of a little bit of a thank you note to beauty YouTubers like Jackie Aina, Halbert, and Tati, because I have been going through a little bit of a rough patch and I find their videos so soothing. I find them to be kind of beacons of I'm dealing with my shit and I'm moving on. And that's what I've been really needing in my life lately, and I've been binging all of their videos. And so I decided to do a makeup tutorial. Obviously I'm not the best, but I wanted to, I want to do something. And on top of that, I also wanted to do a little bit of a letter to my friends and family, because I'm not always the most open person. Off to the tutorial. Well, I woke up today, so there's that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, because So first thing, let's, do the YouTuber thing. This the thing I'm putting on. It is the NYX, however the fuck you say that, Pore Filler. I forget, I think it's either Thomas Halbert, the armpit of the beauty community. That's what he called himself. But he was using this in a video, and he said he really liked it. I'm pretty sure that's where I saw it. I also think I've seen Jackie Aina praise this, so, she is our Lord and Savior, so. I've never put on primer before, so we'll see how this goes. Oh, that's not the texture I was expecting at all. Okay, girl. And then they just kind of, I'm into that. I get that. Ooh, yeah, that does make it feel real smooth. Okay. I feel you, girl. I get when they do that. Okay. Oh, it's like a baby's ass. It's like a baby's ass. Like, for real. It's ridiculous. Okay, work. Next, we're gonna do my eyes. The reason why I'm doing my eyes first is because I'm not good at makeup. I fuck up the eyes pretty much every single time that I try to do it. I have to ghetto rig this just a little bit, just so you know. Just to make sure that my phone doesn't shut off because I'm filming with a phone because, not a big YouTuber. Not even really a small YouTuber. Share with your friends. This is an e.l.f. brush. I got this at Ulta for like $3. Super cheap. And I think it's Tati that always talks about how good e.l.f. products were, which is actually why I got it. And I've used this a couple times. And it works. It's a cheap brush, as I'm pulling out a thread right now. Fucking come out here, shit, you little piece of shit, my god, like, fuck you, you bitch. There we go, okay. Fixed, okay. This eyeshadow, it's called Mels. I bought this several years ago. I don't think I can find this anymore. And I don't remember if I bought this from Wish or Amazon. I don't think I've ever heard this brand talked about. Probably Chinese knockoff. It could be an indie brand. I don't want to be too negative. It was like one of those like $1 purchases, right? Let me just kind of block my face, make sure that it's not focusing on my face. Okay. First main ingredient on the back is talc, and you can tell. I've noticed, like, watching YouTubers that talc heavy eyeshadow is very powdery, and it really is. It has some crazy fallout. Like this family of shimmery browns. Throw that on there. Occipital bone. You remember back when William's Beatdown was on Stylish? It's much lighter than I thought it was going to be. I'm gonna use coppery. Oh yeah, that got dark real quick. I feel like I have really small eyes and then it's super hooded, and then like my eyebrows are like just fucking there. It is what it is. Okay. I think I'm gonna use the one right next to it. The little bit more yellow. I'm just gonna pump that right there in the inner corner. Not the worst thing ever, which is good for me. Okay. The next thing that I'm gonna use is the NYX Colored Felt Tip Liner Gray. I have, I think Jenna Marbles refers to it as the too much gene, and I get scared, and then I get confident, and then I get stupid. In that order every single time. And so I'm just doing a simple, like, emo boy band eyeliner. Done my eyes. First story of depression. Okay, we're gonna get right in there, girl. My apartment has mice. They started showing up a little bit in my apartment. It didn't bother me too much because though I live in a big city and I've spent most of my life in the big city, I have spent some time out in the country. And mice are largely not the biggest problem. They died down for a long time, and a few months ago, it's just been like ramping out of control. It's to the point at which at any time of day or night, I can hear them scurrying around from like the attic, and I can hear them like crawling through the walls. I'll just hear like a swarm of them just like across. Like my upstairs neighbor's floor particularly. Like I can hear like at night, like they'll wake up and I can hear them get out of bed and step down, and I can hear the mice from the back of the apartment run all the way to the front of the apartment. And my apartment complex isn't doing anything about it. And it just feels disgusting. Oh, I forgot to do mascara. I always forget mascara. Talking about reasons why I bought things. The NYX eyeliner I bought. I don't remember who did the makeup tutorial with the NYX eyeliners. It was probably Tati or Thomas again. God, if I ever collab with somebody and they want to do fucking like those contact lenses, girl, bye. Girl, fucking bye. I have a hard time with pests just in general because I don't always feel comfortable killing an animal or a bug. I'm mad that you're here, I'm not mad that you're alive. You know, bitch liberal thing to do, but it's just how I feel. Next thing that we're gonna do is foundation and concealer. Foundation that I'm gonna be using is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. I have kind of oily skin, and particularly out of like the drugstore brands, it seemed that people that were my skin tone range, like mediums to like the beginning of rich, like in that range, found that the undertones inside of this makeup was the best. Pinkish undertone, which looks really bad on my skin, or just gets very gray. The concealer that I'll be using is this Maybelline, right? Yeah, Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. I'm going to be putting foundation on with this brush, which is a e.l.f. Kabuki, I don't know what it's called, a short stem. And doing this, I do have the Real Techniques sponge, and I don't really like the application process. I really like using the Real Techniques sponge for my concealer to blend it out because it works really well for me. So something you may notice when I put on this foundation is that the foundation doesn't entirely match my face. And the reason why it's that way is because my face and the center of my chest is significantly pinker and lighter than the rest of my body. My neck is a darker, more like golden brownish color, and the same as like my arms and my legs and my chest, and my stomach. And so I'm matching to that and not my actual face, just because my face is so off. And I have a lot of skin tone variation on my face as well, which really drives me fucking crazy. Something that I find difficult is maybe because I'm a little bitch and I don't put a lot of foundation on, but I saw people refer to this as medium to high coverage. Oh my god, fucking buff out. We're on to the concealer. Now for the concealer, I'm gonna apply it with the little sponge that it comes with, but then I'm gonna blend it out with the Real Techniques sponge, not the Beauty Blender. Straight down like that, and then across, and then make a triangle. Okay. To get more product, Cupid's bow it. There you go, and then a little right here, and then we're just gonna fucking blend that shit the fuck out. Oh my god, yes queen, yes queen. Ah, I just pounced right on the bridge of the fucking nose. And then we're gonna blend out the forehead. Also, you might see the glitter. I was at the Renaissance Fair the other day, and a lady was just like, "You want to can I throw glitter on you?" And I was like, "Oh, yes." And so that's what's happening there. So for the contour, I did get the Fit Me. I think this was a Jackie Aina recommendation. Just gonna Just gonna throw that contour on. And I don't mind the shape of my face, plus I'm fat. And I find that when you're fat and you try to contour too crazy, it looks okay from the front, but from the side it looks like a fucking train wreck. Insecurities, aren't they fun? For the setting powder / highlight. So this is obviously not MAC. I'll hand it upside down. This is MRC. I bought this for $1 off of the Wish app. It was just cheap, and I've had it for a while, and I didn't feel like, until I finish this, I'm not gonna buy anything else. If I do use anything else, it would either be Coty Airspun, which is, you know, a staple, as long as I wasn't using flash photography, because, you know. But if I wasn't using that, I don't know. I don't know what setting powder. I think I would have to like dig through some YouTube videos to figure out outside of that. From what I can tell, it doesn't seem like it's translucent. But it's lighter than my skin, and so it works for what I use it for. It's clown one. Come on, girl. Let's get into that. And I'm going to take more of the Fit Me powder, like that. And I'm going to dip it in there. And I'm just gonna really fucking go for it. Let me make sure. Oh, there we go. Oh, let me just use my left hand. Let me see. Okay. Just draw a line like that. Make sure it's, yep, that's about where I wanted it. And then I take one last little thing and I do a line right there. And we're gonna let this bake, and while I'm looking like a psycho, I'm gonna talk about psycho things. On top of the mice, cockroaches. So I have quite the emotional response to cockroaches, because when I was a little kid, we lived in a trailer that was absolutely infested, and it was infested before we moved in. And so like when I see a cockroach, I don't normally freak out about it. Because like if there's just one or two, you know, that happens. Like that literally just happens. And so usually I'll smash. It's one of the few bugs that I will smash, because I know like it can spiral out of control very quickly. But it started in August, where I saw one, first cockroach, lived here 3 years, first cockroach I've ever seen here. I was like, cool, whatever. And it seemed like the pace of cockroaches showing up just sped out of control. Like it was like once a week, and then it was like twice a week, and then it was just like quickly got to like every day I saw at least one cockroach. And now we're at a point in my apartment where the cockroaches are just fucking everywhere. And I have traps everywhere, and I've contacted my landlord, and I've seen the bug people about, but they've never come into my apartment. I don't know how much my landlord actually is going to, you know, help me or do anything with me to make sure that my living situation is livable. As an adult, to have cockroaches in your home, and I'm not the cleanest person. I'm not gonna pretend like I am. I am a messy fucking bitch. But I do not live in such a way that is conducive to a cockroach infestation in terms of bringing it here. But I'm just messy enough to where it's gonna be nearly impossible for me to deal with it, because I'm just not super pristine about everything. So now that somebody else in the apartment complex is giving me this problem, now it's a serious problem for me. And that particularly hurts, because like how much of a cunt do you have to be like that, you know? Next, lips. Oh god, okay. These are both NYX Liquid Suede. I don't remember who recommended these. I think literally everybody that I watch, like literally every YouTuber. Thanks, Jenna. I like being able just to put one lip product on, because I am not a high maintenance person whatsoever, and I don't want to fuck around with like, you know, having a matte and then having a transition color and then doing a gloss and all of that to get the look that I want. Okay. I like this color of purple. I've worn this color of purple several times. Actually, I'll do the purple. I was starting to lean a little bit more towards the nude, but oh god, I just love this purple so much. So with my lips, What I do is I usually take, I fucking hate this applicator style, by the way. Like, I love the lipstick, but God, I fucking hate this little bullshit. Basically, I use the tip and I draw the outsides instead of using a lip liner. I don't like using lip liners because I'm bad at makeup, and I find that it's really hard for me to control what I want it to look like the actual line. But when I use this, it's easier for it to fall into place and for me to then just decide, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do with it. Also, the top of my mouth, I usually coat. It only takes like one dip really to really do this makeup, really. But I like to coat the bottom, find the shape that I want, and before it dries, just do like one of those. And I like a nice round upper lip because the way that the Cupid's bow on my mouth looks, it's such like a tight V that anytime that I try to line the actual shape, it just doesn't look good. Like, I can't find a way to make it to look good. And maybe one day when I'm a better makeup person. Oh, I love that color. I kind of like that. Normally I go like bold. Again, former emo. I'll go like bold eye and then bold lip in a similar tone. Next problem that I'm having in life, really between June and July, basically there's this class called Field Camp where you spend a full month off in Wyoming. I'm a geology student. We spend a month in Wyoming basically mapping a quarter of the entire state and like the top 30 kilometers of it, like the whole physical structure of it, and making an analysis of its history. It was very grueling, and I was gone out of state for a full month doing that. But to get there, it was a very expensive class to take, and I have to take it for my degree, and it was about $4,000. And the way I was paying for the class was I was driving Uber and Lyft like 80 hours a week, not even joking. Like, I would actually drive up to Kansas City, just because the market's a little bit bigger than Wichita's, and I would just drive. I'd wake up and I'd just drive until I wanted to pass out. And I basically got all but like the last $1,000. So I got like $3,000 extra. I started doing it, I think, in March. So March, April, May, June. Like March, April, May. Between those 3 months, I got an extra like $1,000 basically a month. On top of like my regular bills. With the Uber Lyft, doing it that way. Which was nice, and if I didn't have to pay for things, would have been like, oh my god, an amazing experience. But then I got in a car wreck. I'll probably show pictures of Platinum Pussy, who is no longer with us. Basically, I was on a really busy highway during rush hour. There's 2 cars in front of me, and the person in front stopped, and the person in between us stomped, but kind of bumped into her a little bit. And then I slammed on my brakes and I slid several hundred feet down the highway, probably because I had like just gotten brand new tires, right into her. And then I bumped her into the front person again. The front person had no damage, and I am fairly certain with the way that they were acting that they were undocumented, and so they left the scene, which I understand, screaming liberal, cool, not trying to get you deported, girl. Especially because you're not the one I directly have the accident with. The cops came. I was a little hysterical because that was, when I was 3 hours away from my home city. My whole job, how I was making money to subsist and live, was through Uber, and so I was no longer having a car. And I was still like $1,000 short on this class. And so it was really rough because I had to, and I got my friend's boyfriend actually come pick me up. He took me home. And it put me in a really tight position because I had saved up enough, but I had to use that extra $1,000 up because I was no longer making money for like bills, like, rent and all of that. And so I had to put all of that aside, and I couldn't really pay for the class, and so I had to email my professor, and thankfully the professor was totally cool about the situation. It was just like, it's fine, we'll deal with it, and I ended up going. But an issue that I ran into was I wasn't quite sure what my insurance company was going to say, so I didn't know if I was going to have enough money left over to still have an apartment. And so I ended up having to box up all of my belongings right before I was going to leave to go to another state for a full month, because I knew when I came back, by that time I would have an answer from the insurance, and if it was good, it would be fine and I could unpack. But if it wasn't, I would have to put everything in storage and sleep on my friend's couch, which was humanizing, to say the least. It was rough. I've been independent for like 6 or 7 years now. Living by myself, have my own apartment. Most of that I've had my own car. Like the first year I actually, like my grandpa drove me everywhere. Thanks, Grandpa. But after that I had my own car. I've been late for rent, I think, twice since then, and both of those times it was like a day in because I was just being dumb and lazy. I've been on top of everything, great credit, everything was flowing right, but then this happened, and it was really rough because I was, when I was in Wyoming doing my field work, I was getting up at like 5 a.m., eating breakfast, go out to the field, work until like 5, 6 p.m. I would then have to do the classwork portion related to the field work that I was doing, which, took anywhere from 30 minutes to like 3 or 4 hours to finish a day. And then hangout time at the end, of the day. And usually it was around maybe like 8 or 9 before I had free time in a day. And then I would usually stay up until about midnight, and then I would get up at 5. And we got, I think, 3 days off the whole month. So that was how that was going. On the top of all, I was thinking about the fact that at home I wasn't sure if I was going to have a home to go back to. And it was really hard, actually. I cried a lot. And I'm not really much of a crier because I don't like making things about me. Like, and that may seem crazy because, I'm just like, this fat faggot wearing makeup, with like bright red hair. But I do those things because I like them for me and not because I really like the focus or the attention on me. And I don't like being emotional for the same reason. Like, I don't like... It was just hard. It was a hard time. Eventually I came back and I got my insurance check, and then I had to look for a car, which was a bit of a rat race because, school, I had 1 more semester of school left, which we're going to get into that. Still have 1 more semester to do. I had 1 more semester. I just lost it. Because I had class that I had to get to, and I had to start making money again because obviously I had spent all of what normally would have been savings on this fucking class. And it was a rat race, and I couldn't really find a car that I loved. After owning my last car, which is a Prius, I got quite spoiled. Like, that's a pretty fucking amazing car. It was an 08 Prius. And now I'm driving a 2015 Ford Focus, which is a great car. And I don't want to sound super entitled and weird. Like, Ford Focus. I don't want to be that person. But it's interesting that I did have to functionally downgrade in terms of quality. It's interesting the things that, despite it being a car being 6 years newer, how much of that car is inferior to my old Prius, which is kind of like, but it was the only thing that I could find within my price range and that I would consider acceptable for what I was willing to pay. I got dinked around by a couple car lots. That was fun. I eventually went back to the place that I originally bought my Prius, which was really great. Which is Subaru Wichita. If you live in the area, I totally recommend them. They're non-commissioned. Totally fantastic people. They worked with me. I was, going to class. Well, I was for a minute, but it was really hard for me to focus. And even though it was only like 2 classes that I was taking Calc-Based Physics 2, and I was taking Intro to Environmentalism. The Intro to Environmentalism just because for the Liberal Arts and Science College in my university that I go to requires a biology credit, and I wanted one that was simple and easy, and since I'm a geologist and I already, have taken environmental classes, but they didn't technically count because it was in the geology department, I would just take, this class, make it easy for myself. My depression just got really bad. It just got really, really fucking bad. And it just got to the point at which it was really hard for me to even get out of bed most days. And, I wasn't really showering. I was not really engaging in life. I wasn't really engaging in anything. I was just being alive. Like, that was just kind of my mindset for probably a good month. And I'm not out of that fully yet. Like, I'm mostly in I wouldn't say in a good place. I'm in an okay place now. Because I've dealt with depression my whole life. And so, I know how it works. I know how to deal with it for the most part. And so, now I'm fine and I'm on an upswing and we'll be, Mama's gonna be fine. But I ended up dropping the classes just because I knew that if I was going to focus on school on top of everything else, that I would probably let everything else fall away from my life. And at that time, I knew that I really needed to focus on self-care and making sure that I was living healthfully, not just with food and stuff, but making sure that, I was getting out of bed, that I was cleaning myself, that I was talking to the people that I care about, that I was trying to fight invasive thoughts, that I was making sure that I was doing more than just being alive. And I knew I couldn't do that and do school at the same time just because it does take so much out of me, and I am such a workaholic that I will see it and I will just use that as an escape and let everything else just fall apart because I know it's safe and easy for me to do that. And so I needed to remove myself from that position. I'll be back in the spring to finish out my degree. Get a Bachelor of Science, hey. But yeah, that's what's been eating me. Anyway, this is the look. It's not the best, but it's what my skill level I'm comfortable with. I am glad that I shared myself with you today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Do the bell notification thing, because YouTube's a fucking dipshit. I shouldn't say that. I mean, it's true, but they get mad. Anyway, new things on the horizon. New apartment coming up soon, probably. We haven't picked it out yet, but I know it's happening. Me and my friend Mandy are going to be starting a channel called Corn-Fed Glitter, which is super fun. And it's going to be us just being a whole bunch, 2 bitchy millennials complaining about things while getting drunk. Which is going to be fun. And I'm just making it one day at a time.